Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denonu, aka the man with black privilege. And we're going to be talking about Black Panther here today. I just got finished seeing the movie probably about a half hour ago. And there really isn't a whole lot I can say about it, YouTube. I mean, it's good. It's acted good. I mean, the bad guy was good. The soundtrack was fucking excellent. I mean, go see it. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, to be honest, I mean, it had very few flaws in the movie. Honestly, I was hyped as hell for this movie. I didn't go into the movie with overreaching expectations like most people. My main thing with this movie being a fan of the character, because it seems like a bunch of people who make these review videos on YouTube don't know what the hell they're talking about when it comes to Black Panther and Vibranium and all that good stuff. But I'm not one of those people. I knew who the character was 10, 15 years ago. So it stays true to what certain core things are about the character. They change not necessarily Black Panther up as much, but when it comes to Killmonger and Man-Ape, they changed them up a lot. And I'm guessing they just had to kind of fit that in for the movie, you know, in order to make it work. Because they were both bad guys in the movie, but if you've seen the movie, Man-Ape in there isn't really a bad guy, or at least not yet. He's more of like the guy who wants to stick to traditions versus doing with what the Wakandans do with, you know, the Vibranium and the Black Panther and all of that stuff. So he's like the ostracized guy in the family, so to speak, when it comes to his character. But he was a bad guy in the comics. I'm hoping they do something with him later, because after watching the movie, Black Panther doesn't have any bad guys. I mean, his biggest bad guy is probably Man-Ape, Killmonger, and Claw. And by the end of this movie, they kill Killmonger and Claw. So it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Who are you going to be fighting in Black Panther 2? You know? Are they just going to... I'm guessing they might do what they doing with Ant-Man and the Wasp, where you bring in somebody else's bad guy to try to take over and fight the main hero, like they did with, you know, the Ghost in that movie. Maybe they might do something, you know, similar, because I'm assuming Black Panther is going to have a Black Panther 2 and 3. But who knows if that's going to be the case. After Infinity War, Marvel might try to change how they do things, and they may not give trilogies like that no more. It may just be an origin movie, and then they go take that character in what other, you know, other movies that they do, but don't have sequels, you know? So they may do something like that. But anyway, getting back to Black Panther, it was done good. My expectation was pretty much, I was hyped, like I said, but the only really thing that I wanted out of this movie was, I just wanted to be a strong black movie and stay true to the character. And that's all I was looking for. You know, I was hoping for them not to fuck up something with the character where it's like, oh no, you know, they fucked that up. But at the same time, I was like, well, if you have this whole black cast, it's about Wakanda, it's about, you know, all of that black stuff, right? So it's like, and that Afrofuturism. So it's like, I wanted to see that done right. I didn't want them to fuck that up. And I'll be damned if they did not. They did not fuck that shit up. I was worried about it, but they didn't. I mean, they did their damn thing. I'm gonna talk about a lot of the things in the movie in this video here. So this is gonna have spoilers, because I figured this is gonna be a long one, YouTube. So I'm gonna save some of the story stuff for later. I'm just gonna get into my likes and my very few dislikes first, and then we're gonna talk about the story and what I think about it, and where I think I can't say where I think they did wrong, because I think they did it pretty decent, but what I think they could expand upon, or what I think they should have expanded upon. Let me say that. Honestly, what I liked, let's see, music was good, visuals were good. That's also a flaw, but I'll get into that later. The character and stuff was done right. I really like how they did the whole design of Wakanda. That was great. I loved it. what I didn't like about the whole design and the look of Wakanda and everything was that, and this is something I'm gonna get into a little bit more, is I wish that they would expand upon it more. I mean, granted, it's like it felt like when I walked out of there, like they showed you a lot of Wakanda, don't get me wrong, but it was one of those things where if I had to count on my hand how many times you saw Wakanda, it was like 4. You had that market scene twice. It was that one street, the one scene with the rhinos in the field, and M'Baku's mountain area, and like that was about it. I'm hoping if they do make a Black Panther 2, I mean, I would assume they are, but who knows, that if they do show Wakanda in it like that, I'm hoping that they can expand upon those other areas, and you know you get to see Black Panther go around Wakanda, and you see a lot of the other stuff. This seems like it kind of only had like a few shots in it, and then you know you had to follow T'Challa around as he went around to various places. You didn't get to see the mound of vibranium. You know, usually that's something they at least show in the comic book, at least in a panel or two. I'm guessing, how do I describe it? I'm guessing that train, the magnetic lev train scene, and that building that they were in, I'm guessing that was the mound of vibranium they was in. But they didn't specify it, but I guess you kind of seen it in there. But in the comic books, they always showed the mound of vibranium, like from the outside. It wasn't like a hollowed out mountain that they were in. They would always go like in a cave system, and then there'd be like this huge big ass, you know, rock of vibranium. It'd be like, you know, it would be as big as a mountain, but it's underground, you know. That's how they would typically show it. But I liked all of the other side stuff too. Like when it came to the characters in the movie, like M'Baku, I liked. I figured he was going to be one way, but then when you get to the end of the movie, he's like completely different, you know. So I like that. I think Shuri, his sister, Black Panther's sister, she was a bundle of energy whenever she was on screen. I like that. She was also, I guess people have been comparing her to Q. So she's like Black Panther's tech expert, so to speak, you know, building gadgets and stuff like that. I don't really mind that at all. I mean, it has to be somebody. In the comics, Black Panther, for the most part, is they try to make him, I'm not going to say isolated, but in the comic books, he's like Batman, where it's like, oh, I build this, I can build that, I can do everything myself type thing. Yeah, Black Panther in the comic book has people around him that may help him, but if he wanted to, he could do everything himself because he's the smartest guy in the room, you know, that kind of sort of thing. In this, they made it kind of more realistic, because that's what I don't like about Batman's character. And I can understand why they do that, but that's not realistic in any sense of the word. There's no one man that's perfect at everything. And in this, I'm glad that they kind of made T'Challa, he's smart, you know, but when it comes to like tech and how to make the vibranium do what they want, you know, his sister's the one who makes up all these newer gadgets and stuff for him. Or at least that's the impression that they gave, because they never really broke down what her role was in the movie. You assume that, and she says that area where she's building all the different stuff is her lab, so I'm assuming she's like the head scientist in their tech wing or whatever, you know, when they build all of that stuff. But outside of that, I think she was the chick that was in The Walking Dead, Michonne. Dora Milaje chick. People have been saying she kicks ass the whole movie, right? And when I was watching the movie, like everybody was right. Like every scene she's in, she kills it. And it's not because she's whooping ass, you know. I mean, I guess that's half of it, but for me anyway, it's more like it's kind of hard to describe. She has a presence on screen that when you see her, you know, yelling in that African language, spinning that spear around or stomping it on the ground, being all militaristic, she makes a presence. You know, her presence is known on screen. Like, and I didn't really notice the presence at first until like probably like the I People have been calling it the James Bond scene, but they have a scene where they go to Korea to find Claw. And I didn't notice it there because I was watching the other black chick. I forget what her name was in the movie, but Black Panther's love interest, his ex. She was in a couple scenes, with her, and she was fighting and stuff too, but she didn't give off that same militaristic presence that Michonne did. Michonne was like whooping ass the whole movie, and she gave that off, and it made her believable as a military leader of the Dora Milaje. Thought that was great. The fact that they had the Dora Milaje in this movie, repping Wakanda and, with the bald heads and all that, and dressed out with the red and the gold. That was hot, the whole movie. I thought that was great too. Man, this movie has so many pluses. Michael B. Jordan. Everybody's been, saying he's the highlight of the movie. And for me, I would say I can agree with that. Maybe 80%. But he's not my favorite part of the movie. I would say my favorite part of the movie is probably the whole Black Panther aspect and all of the the themes that they're trying to get across in the movie. I like that a hell of a lot more. Michael B. Jordan's character, I saw him as it was one of the themes that they had in the movie where it was like Black Panther was the African black man and Michael B. Jordan was the American black man. That's the theme I got of it, and that's why they're bumping heads. Because for those of you who don't know, not all black people like each other, and you have African immigrants who come over here to America. They do things how they do things, and me and people like myself, black Americans, we do things our way. It's a whole separate culture. Just because we're both black doesn't mean we're the same culturally. I mean, if anything, black Americans don't really have a culture of our own, so to speak. So there's a lot of friction between that, each other, as far as how we both do things. And in the movie, they kind of shown that because Michael B. Jordan's character his dad was a Wakandan who was on a mission in America, had him, and then his dad got killed. So he was like the angry black kid growing up in America, dealing with and seeing all of the stuff that black people go through around the world. And he made Wakanda his focal point, saying like, look, you have all these rich black people over here, but yet you have black people around the world getting all messed up and stuff, and how come they not doing nothing to help them? So that was one of the themes that they was trying to get across in the movie, and you saw all of that through Michael B. Jordan's eyes. I thought that was pretty good. I wish that they could have did more with it. Honestly, they showed you enough to where you understood where he was coming from. But honestly, I wish they'd have did more with it, but they was only working with I think the movie's like 2 hours and 15 or 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. So there's only so much that you can do in that time frame. The movie, I wouldn't say it's fast paced. It didn't feel fast paced, but it probably is fast paced. There was a couple scenes in there that I felt like they didn't need to have. I would have rather had them stretch out the Wakanda bits a little bit more, or maybe expanded on Michael B. Jordan's character, than have them do that club scene with Claw. Because Claw, don't get me wrong, he's a great bad guy, I guess, but he was the one part in this movie that you really didn't need. After I actually sat down before recording this, I was like, I had to think, what did Claw's purpose actually serve in the movie? Because in the movie, he's there, I guess because he's the familiar face from Age of Ultron, right? He's the link back to Wakanda. And they find him early on in the movie, and they try to go, perform a rendition on him to bring him back to Wakanda so he can stand trial and everything. But Michael B. Jordan's character is working with him. They steal this vibranium. looks like a vibranium pickaxe that's in this museum, and they try to sell it, and that's where they try to, go capture him. And it's one of those things where after it was all said and done, they arrested him, but then Michael B. Jordan, came in. That's the scene in the trailer where they blow open the wall and they come in, and he comes in there with the AR and he just starts spraying down the place. I thought that was pretty cool, but at the end of the day, it's not like Claw served a purpose. It's not like Black Panther needed Claw for, something because he was trying to fight Michael B. Jordan. At first, I was like, well, I think, I assumed when I was watching it that Michael B. Jordan's character was like, all right, look, I need to work with this dude because I need him to tell me where Wakanda is. That's what I thought, right? But then, like, right after they rescue him and, he wants to sell the thing to somebody else to get money, Michael B. Jordan just kills him, just straight up shoots him. So I'm like, well, because he was like, I want you to fly me to Wakanda. And he was like, what? And then he just turns and just shoots the guy. So it's like, you already knew where Wakanda was, so why were you working with him in the beginning? For what? why are you working with him, period? Michael B. Jordan didn't need him to sneak him into Wakanda because like 10 minutes later, he shows up at Wakanda with his dead body talking about like, here, look, I brought this. So it's like, you didn't need Claw for anything. I mean, he had royal blood. He could have just showed up at the door, showed the ring and been like, yo, look, let me in. I'm here to challenge T'Challa. And they would have did it, because he got the ring. It's not like, they wouldn't turn him away. He didn't need Claw's dead body. So that's something, I don't know if that's a plot hole, but that's something I was like, wait a minute, Claw served no purpose in the movie whatsoever. I guess maybe it's kind of loose, but I guess maybe, that was their way of getting Everett Ross into Wakanda. I guess you could say, like, because he was chasing after Claw too with this club scene, and he was a part when they tried to capture him and everything. A lot of people also are downing Everett Ross's character in this, but I think Watson played a decent role. A lot of people don't understand who Everett Ross is. I used to read the comic books in the 90s, so I know who he is. So he kind of like, it's a good way. It's you making a Black Panther movie. I'm not saying he has to be there, but he was an important part in certain runs of Black Panther. So he has to fit that same role in the movie, especially if you already had him in Civil War. He kind of has to be there. He doesn't have to be the main focus. I mean, that's always been on T'Challa, but Everett Ross was the kind of like he was like America's guy in Wakanda, but he had the trust of T'Challa. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of character he was. They were cool in the comic books and like damn near friends, but I think he did a pretty damn good job in this. I mean, he was there, but he didn't take the scene or steal scenes from other characters. The movie didn't focus about him being in Wakanda and all of that. I mean, it's just it was tight with the story and kept it focused on T'Challa, him ruling, and Michael B. Jordan. I thought Claw was going to play a bigger part in the movie. Like, I mean, I didn't think he was going to be like a henchman, but I thought that Claw and Michael B. Jordan were going to like try to take down Wakanda together, because Claw, if you guys don't know, in the comics, is a supervillain. He has this big ass satellite dish on his arm. He fought the Fantastic Four a couple times. He fights Black Panther. He's basically a being of living sound, and he's a supervillain, so he pops up from time to time. I thought they were going to do something with him, like they go to Wakanda together to try to take down Wakanda and Black Panther. Something happens with the vibranium and he gets into like some kind of accident when they was trying to stop him, and that's what turns him into the Claw from the comics. That's what I thought they were going to do, but no, they just straight killed him. And the same thing goes for Michael B. Jordan. They killed his character at the end of the movie. I don't know why they did that. I mean, I guess the only reason I could think for them of killing Killmonger is maybe Michael B. Jordan and maybe and what's his name, Andy Serkis, the guy who plays Claw. Maybe they didn't want to sign multiple picture deals, like everybody else, like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, everybody else. And maybe they was like, okay, well, we only want to do this one movie, so kill him off to make him more impactful for the story. Claw's death was kind of pointless in my eyes, but outside of that, I wish they'd have did that a little bit better. But Michael B. Jordan, he was decent, throughout the whole movie. His death was done pretty good. It was like he was the Americanized black man who hated his African cousins because they didn't do nothing to help black people throughout the rest of the world. So I thought that was done. That whole theme dynamic was great, and that played into the main theme of the movie about Wakanda dropping that isolationist tradition that they had, and was they were trying to go out and help the world. That's how the movie ended. But I mean, it was just a good damn movie, YouTube. I mean, the only thing that I might as well talk about it. The only thing I can really knock about it is the CG. By it being real life and not an actual comic book, you can't do a lot of that stuff. So of course they have to do it on CG. And I get that. I mean, I truly do. I'm not one of those people who like to nitpick, oh, I don't like CG. No, they're making a fucking comic book movie. You can't do that shit in real life, so they gotta do it. But I don't know what happened behind the scenes, or if maybe whatever CG group, I think it's the Industrial Light and Magic, does all of the Marvel Disney movies. But you had a lot of CG in this, a lot. Like I can only think of probably like 4 or 5 scenes in the movie that didn't have CG in them. Like a lot of the Wakanda shots were in CG. You had set shots of them, like the one scene in the trailer where T'Challa is fighting on the kind of like the waterfall thing with everybody standing on the thing. You could tell that was real, but everything in the background around that was CG. It's like they had a lot of sets, and then you had, the CG was the background in the sky and things like that. And when they were fighting at the end, when Black Panther and was fighting with his suit, and Killmonger was fighting with the Golden Jaguar suit, you had tons of CG in there. And like I said, I don't mind it, but it's one of those things where it looked really, really, really cartoonish. It's not the worst CG I've ever seen. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's bad looking. I'm just saying that it's whatever. I don't know. I don't have the words to describe, but it's like, it's heavily CG. It's like they didn't put a filter on there to make it don't look like CG. It's like they just kind of like, if you look at any other Marvel movie, let me say like prime example. Let me take Iron Man, for instance. Every time you see Iron Man in Marvel, right? His suit, probably from the shoulders down, is CG. Or maybe outside, maybe between Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Because I remember Iron Man 2, they had pictures of Robert Downey Jr. from like the chest up was like a prosthetic suit, but from the waist down, he didn't have nothing on. In Civil War, that's when I noticed that Marvel kind of made a change with how they did their CG. Because that's when you started to see Robert Downey Jr., like when he was fully decked out in Iron Man, that's when he was like all CG. And you could see it, but it wasn't bad. It was like they tweaked it to where it looked damn near real, but if you look at it, you could be like, all right, I can tell that's CG, but that looks damn near real. Whereas in Black Panther, it's like they did the CG, but they didn't make it look damn near real, so it still looks like cartoonish in that regard. It wasn't shitty, but it didn't have that final polish that I've seen Marvel do in other movies, if that makes sense. I don't know why that is. Maybe they went with a whole nother company. I don't know who did the rest of the movies, but that's just the vibe that you got from the CG. And by the backgrounds and stuff being like that, they didn't have the polish either. So a lot of the backgrounds, if you're watching the movie and if you're looking at the backgrounds more so than what they want you to see with the characters in front of you, you can see where it's like, oh, okay, I can see where it just, like the whole movie didn't have that polish. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't know if maybe Black Panther didn't have the budget that, let's say, Civil War did, or maybe they went with another studio in between movies, or I don't know, but the CG was heavily used. And again, I'm not saying it's bad, but I wish for a lot of the movie, the Wakanda scenes, maybe because they wanted Wakanda to feel a little bit different. But for me, I was kind of hoping that for the Wakanda scenes that, can't you just go to like New Zealand and film some stuff there? Film like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit somewhere else, and then just kind of CG all that together to make it look like Wakanda, But in this, it feels like they had one like location shot and they just CG'd everything else, so they didn't want to like travel anywhere to film. That's what it feels like. Again, I'm not saying it's not shit, It's not that Justice League level, but it's close in certain scenes. Like, I don't think nothing I've seen I think the worst CG I've seen was probably, besides shitty B-rate movies, but in Justice League, that one shot of Aquaman turning around before he dove in the water with the water splashing up, I was like, yo, what the fuck is this shit? I've seen television CG look better than this. But I don't think nothing in Black Panther was on that level. Maybe towards the end when he was fighting, Michael B. Jordan and stuff, a lot of that was heavily CG. Like when they was jumping around from the train platforms and stuff like that, that's where it was kind of looking like it. It's like, come on, man, y'all could have put a filter on that, did something, shot it in the dark. I don't know, work some Hollywood movie magic on that shit. Put some of that Disney money in it. But I don't know, they just didn't do it, and it definitely showed. A lot of people online are talking about it, but it didn't detract from the movie. And that's my main thing about it, is the movie, by it being good, more people are talking about how good the movie is versus how different the CG looks. And that's all I was hoping for as far as the movie. Like I said, I can't think of a lot of flaws. Maybe the movie went a little bit too fast. I could see some people saying that. Another thing I thought was kind of weird that I thought they would touch on before Infinity War, but I thought the Soul Stone was going to be in this, maybe explain, the whole astral plane type thing, but no Soul Stone whatsoever. Didn't explain shit about it. So that's still up in the air. I'm guessing they're gonna, Thanos has to find it somewhere in Infinity War, so it's definitely not in Wakanda. I'm trying to think of other things that they had. Makes me wonder where they're gonna take it though. Like, if you don't have no bad guys, then who's Black Panther really gonna, fight against in future installments of his movies? Like, that's weird. Like that's still bugging me. Like who's he gonna fight? He gotta fight somebody. Something else I like also, when it comes to his suit, I like the whole storing energy from kinetic motions and things like that, because that's something that he has in the comic books to an extent, and they always draw him with like the purple effects and stuff, so that was a way of translating that to film, and I love him for it. Kind of curious to see where they're gonna take it in the future, because if he's gonna be like Iron Man where he changes his look every movie, I'm kind of wondering what they're gonna have next. I'm trying to think of like other major flaws that jump out to me about the movie while I'm trying to BS a conversation here. I really can't think of none. That's what I was saying, YouTube. This movie is good. Like, I want to go in there and be like, oh, the story was bad, but no, the story was damn good. They made you feel about the different characters. They made you understand, where Killmonger was coming from. I think the only person who they really didn't do justice all that much was probably was Claw. Man-Ape, they kind of changed up, but they can always, if they wanted to, change him around. Like in Black Panther 2, they can make him the bad guy, because in the comic book, he was more of like the aggressive type person that Black Panther would fight, the one who wanted to take over Wakanda and all of that stuff. That was Man-Ape's thing. That was M'Baku's thing. So maybe they can do that for the sequel or something like that, and have him look his part, because they didn't make him look his part in the movie. In the comics, M'Baku, or Man-Ape as they call him, he wears like the hide of this silverback gorilla that they worship. And in the movie, they worship this gorilla too. Like that's what his tribe did. But he just didn't make him, wear like the body of the monkey on his person. And I think the reason why they probably didn't do that was because there's a black stereotype where a racist slur where it's black people are seen as monkeys, and things like that. So maybe they didn't want to have, dress up a black man, in a monkey suit, So maybe that's why they didn't do that. I was hoping they would explain vibranium a little bit more, because in the movie it's like, oh, vibranium can do anything. I mean, that's the kind of vibe you get. And I hear a lot of people talking on YouTube about vibranium and stuff, and it's just like they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But in the comic books, vibranium, it can absorb it can absorb energy, and I think in the Ultimate Universe it can also reflect it. And that was one of the reasons why, when bullets hit it, that's why bullets don't ricochet off of like Black Panther's suit. They just kind of stop where they are and fall. Was because I think or at least in the Ultimate Universe, vibranium, whatever kinetic energy impacts it from, let's say like a bullet or something, the bullet will hit the suit, and any kinetic energy that's supposed to transfer into your body from the bullet, the vibranium will absorb it and then reflect that same energy back out in the opposite direction. So basically, if you shoot a bullet at vibranium, it hits the vibranium and stops. But what's essentially happening is that energy is canceling itself out. It's kind of like as if I punched a wall, but yet the wall, instead of my fist going through the wall, because I'm a complete and utter badass, instead of my fist going through the wall outputs the same impact as I'm putting in the punch. So my fist just stops. It cancels each other out. But in the movie, they didn't really dive into a lot of how the vibranium works. It's just, the vibranium absorbs kinetic energy. But from what I understood, or from what the movie was portraying about it, it was more of like the suit, could store the energy. It was just like the suit that could do this. And they didn't explain how vibranium can just be used for like every damn thing. I wish they'd had a scene in there where they talked upon like, or while we use vibranium for this and this and this and this, like what are the potential uses of vibranium and how they can, let's say, make all of the technology, that they have. They didn't have a scene in there like that. They just had advanced tech, They didn't explain like how they got the tech or how they developed it. It's just there and they had it, I wish they'd had a couple scenes like that. But what this movie really needed, and what I'm hoping they do whenever the Blu-ray comes out, this movie needed like an extra 45 minutes to flesh out certain scenes, and then the movie would have probably been perfect. But I just don't know if they're gonna do that. I'm hoping they do. But who knows if they're gonna do that or not. Honestly, I'm really trying to think of other flaws that this movie could have, and I just can't think of none. I like a lot of the main story, what they did with the whole political, backstory about T'Challa's father killing Michael B. Jordan's dad in the beginning. And it's one of those things where it's like, not every king can be perfect. You have to be the ruler of your kingdom first and then everything else second. So yeah, he may not have wanted to do it, but he did what he had to and then hid the fact from everybody. And that's what caused Michael B. Jordan to be kind of pissed when he came back, was because you killed my dad and you ain't tell nobody. And they just left him in America, living on the streets or however he lived, got adopted or whatever. They just left him there. They didn't bring him back to Wakanda and be like, yo, look, we killed your dad, but you know what I'm saying? At least we bringing you back home. Like, no, they just left him there to perpetrate the lie. And when T'Challa was speaking to his dad in the, I forget what they called it, but it's really the astral plane. But when he was speaking to him and everything in there, that was one of the things, like, he was telling him, like, yo, why'd you lie about, why'd you leave him there, And that was like a big thing of pushing him to take Wakanda's advances and try to help the rest of the world. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like, I think the actor that played T'Challa's dad, T'Chaka, did he have a stroke in between movies? I mean, it could just be me, but he had like a mean lazy eye, like, you know, take like Forrest Whitaker and like Tom's 50, and like his eye was like drooping in the scenes when Chadwick Boseman was talking to him and stuff. And it's like, I don't know if like, I'm assuming he had a stroke because I don't remember his eyes doing that in Civil War. I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of him or nothing, but that's the only thing I could think of, is maybe he had a stroke in between movies, and you know, Marvel was like, fuck it, well, since he was in the first, you know, since he was his father in this, let's make him his father in this too, regardless of that physical deformity. I mean, if that's what it was, I don't know, because it was distracting. That's how bad it was. I'm not saying like Forrest Whitaker, right? He's always had his lazy eye, right? So it's, when you watching his movies, it's like you notice it, but over time you get used to it. But T'Chaka in this, like his eye was so lazy with it. It was looking like he was like Zeus or what's the Debo, you know, for those of you who've seen Friday. It was like him. It was like one eye was looking one way and the other eye was looking at T'Challa. You know? So, I mean, I don't mean to make fun of it, but that's the only thing I can think of, is maybe something happened to him medically in between movies, because his eyes were, I mean, unless they CG'd it out of Civil War, but his eyes in Civil War were normal. So I'm guessing maybe something medically happened to him in between movies, like a stroke or something. That's the only thing I can think of with that. Again, if Marvel left that in there because of, you know, character wise, you know, like, all right, you was his father before, so if you still want to do it, you could be his father again. Big ups to Marvel. That's what's up. Because that's something that a lot of people would probably make fun of. And if let's say he did have a stroke in real life and they were making a sequel and his eye did give him a deformity like that, then most companies would have let him go and just recasted his father or reworked the movie so they didn't show his father, you know. But if that was the case, big ups to Marvel, because they left that in there and said fuck it. So that's what's up. Damn, 37 minutes in. Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of something else, like it's like a flaw, like but honestly I can't think of none. I mean, the only thing I can think of flaw wise is just Killmonger and Man-Ape. You know, they weren't exactly like they were in the comic books, and Claw wasn't exactly like he was in the comic books, and they killed him off. But I mean, you know, I'm hoping they can change things around and make Man-Ape the bad guy for part 2. I'm hearing around YouTube that they were gonna have Kraven the Hunter in this originally. I don't know if he was gonna be the main bad guy, but supposedly they were gonna have Kraven the Hunter in this. And at first, when I first heard that, I was like, what? And then I actually looked it up, and it was like Kraven fought Black Panther a couple times. I did not realize that. Because he would be like a perfect villain for Black Panther, since they're both similar power sets. Something else with Killmonger I didn't like, well, I can't say I didn't like it, but I mentioned it when I talked about the movie in my trailer commentary. I hated the fact that they just gave him the Golden Jaguar. You know, it's like, you already have, like, I mean, I don't know. To me, it's the easy, simple way out. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it as a flaw, because it fits in their movie verse, you know, so to speak, about him wanting the throne, wanting to be Black Panther, things like that. So it fits along with that. But me personally, I would not have had him have the Golden Jaguar, because just like I said in my trailer commentary, you want the Black Panther to be the only one who looks like Black Panther. That kind of makes him be his own person, you know. And Michael B. Jordan, his character had a costume in the comic books. I mean, granted, it was all like super tribal and shit, but I would have rather had them make him a costume based on that mask that he wore in the beginning, when he rescued Claw. Do something with that. Since he was feeling that mask, take that mask, make him some kind of a tribal-ish, modern-ish looking suit off of that, and then have him fight in that versus the Golden Jaguar. You know what I'm saying? And just leave that alone. I'd have rather have seen that. But outside of that, YouTube, like I said, movie was damn good. damn good. Like I went to the theater. I saw it in IMAX. It was like $18. I had to put the money in to see this, and it's probably making a killing on like in money wise and everything, because when I went to go buy a ticket, like 2 theaters, like every time I was checking like a showing time for it, it was sold out, every one. And so I know this movie is gonna probably be the only movie that may beat this movie is probably Infinity War. I'm probably, when Monday gets here, I don't know what the top gross of this movie is gonna be. It's gonna, I would assume, probably be anywhere in between 100 million and 150 million. And I think they were projecting it to be like, what, 90 million opening weekend? like I think like it may have already beat that. You know, that's just like, you still got 2 more days to go. You got Sunday and a holiday coming up. So I think it's gonna definitely beat out their projections. But I'm hoping this movie, like, I want this movie to make like 200 million just right off the rip. Just, you know, I want this to dominate in the theaters. Only because I want I know the movie's gonna make money. It's gonna succeed, you know, regardless, because it's Marvel and they do good work. But I want this movie to blow up, only because I want this movie to kind of be like how Guardians and kind of like how the Avengers did when Marvel first dropped out in Hollywood, where it kind of changed what people thought about movies going forward. Kind of like how Wonder Woman showed Hollywood that, hey, look, you can have this female-led superhero movie and have it be good. You know, and then after Wonder Woman came out, you started seeing all these other female-led movies come out, you know, recently and things like that too. So I'm hoping that this shows Hollywood that, hey, black people can't, you know, we can be more than fucking angry black guys, drug dealers and thugs and, you know, violent fucking people. You know, you don't got to show us as like drug addicts and violent fucking people. Like, we can be other things too. And that's another reason why I'm glad they made this movie the way that they did, because Marvel, they could have made some bullshit. Real talk. They could have came in here, made Black Panther and fucked it all up. But they didn't. They went into the movie with respect to not only the character, but of black people and what Black Panther stands for, and how people are receptive to his character. Like, they probably knew that black people were gonna gravitate towards his character because we gravitated towards his comics. You think that they released the movie during Black History Month? You know, you think they did that shit on purpose? Yes, they did. They knew what they were doing. I'm pretty sure they would have probably released this shit on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday if they could. But I hope it blows up. I really do, because then we're gonna see more racial movies that are done right by Hollywood and not just the same bullshit stereotypes that we've been getting for the past 20, 30, 40 years. So that's why I said my expectations with the movie were I just wanted to be a decent black movie and do justice by the character, and they did that. Those were my only expectations for it. I mean, besides, you know, taking my love of the character and my love of comic books aside, my black privilege only wanted this movie to be those 2 things. And anything extra that was in the movie about the Dora Milaje or anything like that from the comic books, I was like, oh, that's hot, you know. that was like icing on the cake. But anyways, guys, let me wrap this up here, because I've been talking for like damn near 40-something minutes, and I'm pretty sure you guys are tired of listening to me. So if you guys seen Black Panther, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you think the movie had certain flaws in it and stuff like that, let me know what they were. Maybe we can have a discussion. But anyways, guys, my name is Denonu, aka the man with black privilege, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.